Hello, listeners. Welcome to the U.S. Department of State's Global Innovation Through Science and Technology, or GIST, Innovation Talk on Ecosystem Building. My name is Marie Silver. I'm a program officer at VentureWell, the primary implementing partner for the GIST initiative, and I will be your host for today. We have a great guest with us today for the GIST Innovation Talk, Igor Madzov, co-founder of Startup Macedonia. Igor, it's great to have you on the show.
Hi, Mary. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So I hear you just finished a program called Startup Caravan. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it went?
So we are right now, just finished the program. It's been actually a program of ours that we envisioned from beginning of April, where we go around the country and we promote what Startup Macedonia does and all the activities, services, and especially the digital platform that we created. Due to COVID, of course, many things were postponed, but we really wanted to actually meet in person our partner organizations and the ones that are making this ecosystem really grow. So that's why we scheduled 6 cities, major hubs in the country, and went around them to promote the platform, the resources, and actually celebrate the success of the startup ecosystem within 2020. It's interesting that it's been the most successful year for the ecosystem, even though for all these developments with COVID.
Wow, that's great to hear. I hear you also have a new mentorship program coming online soon. Why do you think mentorship is important for your startup founders?
When it comes to mentorship, I've learned from many experienced entrepreneurs what it actually takes to create a stable and scaling company. And I just wanted that type of advice giving and nurturing environment to be also something that we have in Startup Macedonia. So we basically started a year ago with a very big research to understand the needs of the startups and what they're actually looking for. And many of them were looking for that guidance and that special experience, know-how that comes from serial entrepreneurs. So that's why we went a little bit deeper into making this analysis a bit more like in-depth. So we engaged with SIPE and with VentureWell and other partners into this research. And we found out something very interesting. We kind of distinguish between 2 types of mentors. Basically, the mentor for us is someone that has been through the journey of starting a company, growing it, failing, starting again, growing, failing, or having multiple success and failures. And he can help the new generation of entrepreneurs to really shorten the way to success. And that's why the program that we are envisioning right now, starting from January, will bring entrepreneurs from all over the world to help startups founders and nurture them in a program of more than 3 months. Where on the other side, we have a number of experts, very in-depth know-how in specific fields that can help them of everyday problems and really assist them in the journey that is guided by the mentors.
How are you sourcing those mentors and experts?
Well, it's been a challenge, to be honest, because we wanted to source them from everywhere. We tapped into our diaspora. There are multiple diaspora groups that are from North Macedonia in around the world, US, Australia, Europe as well. But we also collaborate in the past 5 years with multiple donors, multiple organizations that showed a large interest to kind of give back to the community that is now on the rise. So for us, it was a very natural and just organic way that we reached more than 100 people that wanted to give back. And we actually needed to select those 25 and bring them into a learning environment so that they understand what we are envisioning and also become more adjusted to the culture of startups and what Startup Macedonia is about. So for us, it was happy that all the support we are getting from GIST and from VentureWell.
Do you have some plans in place to monitor and to see, whether the connections are being made and whether those have been good connections for both sides?
Yeah, so we are starting in January with the so-called Founders Club. This is companies that are in a bit later stage with a functioning product, with the ability to access different markets. So we're connecting that audience with the mentors that we selected. And we plan over a 3 months period to analyze the relationship and how it develops, because you can only measure and you cannot just anticipate how this relationship will grow. So in 4 months time, let's say in March, April, we'll be able to analyze the data on what was the relationship like, what was the good practices, because we do have some tips and also directions as we created a guidebook for mentoring in North Macedonia, in a way to adjust the expectations on the side of mentors, but also adjust the expectation on the side of startups.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. I know that you offer a lot of programs for startups in addition to what we've just discussed. When it comes to acceleration programs, startups that are looking for an accelerator program to participate in don't often have the experience to know how to choose the program that is a good fit for them. What qualities should a startup look for in an accelerator program, either yours or someone else's?
I would start a few steps back. In our part of the world, there are many programs that don't offer funding as part of the acceleration, and others do. So I would say that for those programs that offer funding, it's always about what type of funding, the structure, and looking at it as an investor. But I would say that founders, startups should look into the success cases and into the network they're able to provide, the connections they're able to make, and pilots for the startup, because it's not just about the program, it's not just about the learning, it's actually learning by doing. So if there is more opportunities like that to be pushed forward and pushed over the comfort zone, I would say that's the right type of program that I would advise startups to enroll in.
I think we're hearing from you that what Startup Macedonia is best at, and where you fit, is as an ecosystem builder. This is a huge task, and I think it's often difficult to find out, what are the best places for you to both leverage and provide some synergy. What is your thinking process on that? How do you decide which places to go and what things to work on?
Yeah, to be honest, Mary, this is something that we wake up every day of deciding, okay, from the 100 ideas that we have in our minds, what will be the one that we put our focus on? Because there are so much things as the ecosystem is rising in its emerging ecosystem, and there are not that much players. We made a research 2 years ago, and we're doing one right now to understand the needs of startups and understand the offerings from the service providers. As an ecosystem builder, as you put it, our role is to facilitate and guide the ecosystem in the right way. For the first time, we are able to even drive it on the side of policy, where we work with governments on creating policies for startups. Just a few days ago, we announced the Startup Council with the government, where the Deputy Prime Minister of Economy would be part of that council. We have amazing projects ahead of us that are in this area. And of course, we do believe that for us, the target will be more and more integration of the ecosystem, more visibility to the success cases and stories that will promote entrepreneurial spirit and encourage new generation of entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Have you given some thought or perhaps done some work in sort of helping with less represented demographics? And maybe you could explain, who those might be within your ecosystem?
Yeah, so we had one very, very interesting project that we worked during COVID as a response to the COVID crisis and a lot of the Roma population. We have one of the very interesting demographics is the Roma population as the only municipality in the world with Roma only population. And they are under represented in many different parts of the economy, and also there is a lot of gray economy there. So we wanted to teach them how to get on in the digital world, open e-shops, sell online. So this was an acceleration program throughout 3 countries, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Romania, bringing more than 100 entrepreneurs that learned how to position their company on the online and sell. This was an amazing experience for us. So that's why we work with different minority underrepresented groups. Also, something that is very trending now is especially women in entrepreneurship. Currently, we are working with 5 organizations that are touching this topic and kind of bringing them together to collaborate rather than work apart. And I believe this is the true success that we see as Startup Macedonia, identifying stakeholders, understanding their potential, bringing them on the same table and working together into accelerating the growth in the specific area.
Fantastic. Do you have any data yet on, for example, the program that you did for the Roma population? Have you heard how successful some of those folks have been?
Those 3 winners, so 3 winners per country, are doing amazing. They literally changed their behavior. It influenced them that much that they are starting to give back and promote the online selling.
Wonderful. That's good to hear. That makes me think about, the whole concept of, what makes a good startup and where we can help in that direction. And I'm just curious what you consider to be good indicators of a good, strong, and successful founding team of a startup.
I would say when it comes to the qualities of a founding team, I do believe that there are several things that need to be in place. I would say that the balanced team of having 2-3 founders is always a winning combination, especially for me that I'm working as an investor. So I'm looking at the founders of how resilient they are, how actually devoted they are and able to adopt, especially in COVID. It showed me really which founder is a true founder and dedicated, because the ability to shift, adopt is something that truly identifies a quality founder that will grow into a quality startup. Because funding it, a company right now, it might be not successful, but along the way, the learnings and the grit and just hard work that someone puts in will eventually come to a success. So not always the ones that talk the most are the best founders. The ones that are even the more quiet ones, that knows to listen, accepts advice, are eventually those who would grow stronger.
Huh, that's interesting. Do you have some advice for a founder on how to pick and how to grow their team, like where to look for people, and so sort of what are the magic ingredients they should look for?
Problem solving or approach to problems to be something that I value the most. So it's not about actually not knowing something, it's about how you approach the topics that you don't know. This is something that it's hard to be taught. It's about the way of approaching things. And that's why there is a big difference between having an employee and having a so-called entrepreneurial employee who is kind of pushing it a little bit more, even though he's not given any tasks. So he's self-driven. That's a rarity, to be honest. But I like to see that in people, to really be hungry for knowledge, really be hungry to bring something additional to the table rather than just do the jobs A to Z that someone puts on the paper.
So I wanted to ask you about something that you and I have in common is when we worked together on the Just Startup training in 2019. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on, what were some of the outcomes for your organization and for the teams that participated from North Macedonia since that program occurred?
I would say that was one of the best things that happened for us and such early in the organization. It was less than 2 years since we were founded, just making a name in the ecosystem and in the region. So this helped us to position ourselves better, but even more make relationships to the partner organizations that we worked with to bring startups in. Additional, the startups that we worked with, some of them went on becoming the superstars in the ecosystem. The winner out of North Macedonia is now working on amazing projects with corporates, received investment, expanding the team. Also, we have multiple other companies that were within the startup or within the program that we still are collaborating with. I would say we have one of the startups, Friendly, that we are probably going to work together in 2021 on kind of bringing the whole digital ecosystem into VR. Um, there are many others that went through the program and understood that they have not been prepared for market, and they understood what actually they should do in their next startups. So now in Albania, in Kosovo, in Bosnia, we have people with their second or third company that are able to bring and all the learnings from that program, because customer discovery, I learned, and I even knew before, but I learned from you guys how important role it has in the process of creating a startup.
So are there any other programs that you folks are working on? Seems like you're so busy, but are there some other things that you would want to highlight at this point that either you're working on now or that you hope to work on in the next year that you'd want to share with us?
Um, so the mentoring is very important to us, and also the policy work when it comes to angel investing and bringing a lot of private capital into the ecosystem rather than working with donors and government funding. So for us, that part of private capital and training for investors is something that we're working on. Something that is starting, and we are very happy, is that finally corporates are showing interest for the startup world. They're opening programs, they're initiating initiatives within, appointing people to be working with that. So corporate innovation and digital transformation due to COVID was one of the trending topics, and we had a very interesting project where in the uh, summit of COVID, we gathered all the startups with their technologies and that they offered in one portal called TechPack, and they offered all their services for free for 6 months to all the SMEs that were affected. This was kind of an interesting shift where we wanted to bring the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the startups together with the business ecosystem and the more mature companies, kind of understanding that they are not two parallel universes and they can work together, collaborate, and actually accelerate on many levels. So this is, I would say, for now, something that we're focusing on.
I know in talking to you at other times that you're one of the GIST iHubs in our network that has done a lot of work outside of your country as well by partnering with countries around you. Is there anything interesting on the horizon there for you to work with countries within your region at all?
Yeah, so the Western Balkan region has really become a hot topic, and for us, all these 6 countries that we're aiming to create a better environment for startups, connecting, learning from each other's mistakes, but also from the good cases is really important. So some interesting activities, especially alongside in investing and private equity, venture capital, has been actually this bringing together all stakeholders, talking about the needs of private investing in the region, kind of things to move forward and have the bottom-up approach rather than wait from the governments or policymakers to bring something on the table. So gathering really big number of entities that could work in benefit of startups.
I'm curious, is there talk at all of building any kind of an angel network, or is there already a a well-established one that you could tap into?
I would say that there are some sprouts, there are some initiatives in each of the individual countries. The legislations are very different, and there has to be some adjusting because of the whole concept. It requires cross-border investing is still new. So we are doing something along the way, supporting initiatives with the Swiss Entrepreneurship Program and also some other programs that we're working with, kind of to work around building an investment ecosystem. But it's still early on, and hopefully it will bloom as many other things come in place. Kind of we are building a leg on right now, and you should start from somewhere. You cannot start from the top.
Well, I really want to thank you so much, Igor, for joining us today. You've had some really interesting insights to offer, and I just want to give you an opportunity if there's anything more that you would like to add, or other than that, I just want to thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Mari. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and also as part of all the iHubs and the learnings and sharing of experience we have. It's really good if you can tap into a knowledge pool that you are not always able to have very close to you, as it's a global network of similar minded entrepreneurial spirits. So thank you for inviting me, and looking forward to create great things together.
For our listeners, thank you for joining us, and we encourage you to check out our other GIST Innovation Talks by visiting our website, gistnetwork.org.